Hello, my name is Paul Shirilla from the Health and Human Performance Department, and I am the leader of the Polish Education Abroad program. So typically the program runs for about 2 weeks. We try to go in late spring typically, but that sometimes varies. We have two sort of different versions of the program based on the two majors in the Health and Human Performance Department. The first one is Health and Physical Education, and the second one is Exercise and Sports Science. Those are the two majors. So depending on which of those you go on, each course will be filled with only students from that major, and so it'll be very focused and relevant to that particular major program. The university we work with is called the University School of Physical Education. The Polish version is AWF is their abbreviation, or in Polish AWF is how we pronounce it. And so if you go in the Health and Physical Education program, you'll be working with attending classes of their students. You'll be working with local school groups. You'll be helping to host events that are near campus. You'll be utilizing the skills you learn in your program to work with kids of different ages around physical education and health. If you're in the exercise science program, then you'll be doing similar things, but of course that are more designed for your particular discipline. But you'll be visiting the different labs and programs that they have on their campus. You'll be presenting to students as well as what sort of the nature of our program. One of the reasons we tried to time this in the spring is that the university hosts a very large, usually about 2,000 person festival, a sport festival that's open for the entire Wrocław community. And it's their way of showcasing their university, and there's all sorts of activities. Either one of the programs you are going to, regardless of the major, you would be a part of that festival to prepare activities and work with other Polish students to prepare activities for that festival. Of course, there's a large cultural component as well. Wrocław is the fourth largest city in Poland. It's a university city. It has 13 different universities. It's called the City of Rivers. So it's a very beautiful city. There's rivers everywhere. There's universities everywhere. So it has that really cool culture that we think our students like and enjoy. And you'll spend a decent amount of time, of course, touring that city, learning about the history and the culture of Wrocław and Poland. We also take a day trip to Auschwitz concentration camp to learn about the history, and of course, of that event. And we sometimes will try to go to at least one other city in Poland. If possible, we like to go to Krakow because it is sort of the cultural and historical capital of Poland. It's not too far away to view another part, or at least one other city in Poland. Yes, so the course that our students will enroll in right now is a special topics class. So it would be a PED or EXSS 389 or 489 class, which is the generic label for any special topics course across campus. It will be called something like Physical Education Studies in Poland or Exercise Science Modalities in Poland. So it is a 3-credit course. It will be able to fulfill your global perspectives requirement through a special agreement that we've made through the university of being able to count that for your global perspectives. So when we talk with students, if you're interested in taking this course, then we would advise you to not take your global perspectives requirement, and it can also count as an elective credit in whatever major program that you are enrolled in. The general structure is you're going to, of course, do some meetings before we leave to Poland to orient and get you ready for the program, orient you to Polish culture and what to expect, talk all about the details about what the course is going to look like. And then once you're there, it runs for about 10 to 14 days. A typical day will be either going to class on campus or attending a cultural event or planning for one of the events that I already mentioned about maybe working with a particular group of students or a group of other students in the university you may be working with. And then, of course, having some time to do some travel, both as a group and individually. Some of the assignments that you will be doing will be, of course, again, planning the activities with other folks, reflecting on how they went, certainly doing some writing about the things you learned about comparing the way exercise science or physical education is studied or is presented in a Polish university as opposed to a United States institution, comparing and contrasting sort of the different things they do. We think that's kind of one of the most important parts of that experience, is to understand we have our own perspective of how we study physical education and exercise science. but I think it's useful to look at how other universities are doing it in different parts of the world, and what can we glean from that, and what can we say maybe is we like about our way and what's good about their way. So having assignments that have you think about that is what students will also be participating in this program. Well, of course, we travel over to Poland together. And then one of the things we like about Wrocław, because again, we have this partnership with another university. And by the way, they're just tremendous hosts. We've run this program several times before. They love having us on campus. They treat us so well and help us plan all sorts of really interesting activities. And they take such good care of us. So it's a nice, comforting feeling that it's not just you or even the group leader who's trying to kind of figure everything out in this foreign country in a foreign language. We have great partnerships that people who look out for us. When you come over, since we are working with AWF University, students actually stay in the dorm, in a specific sport-related dorm. So they have dorm rooms, you stay there with the students. Our experiences, the Polish students are very hospitable and love having time to spend with American students in their dorm and talking to them about college life and asking the differences between what we do. So you'll be staying in the dorms. Many of the meals will be provided then also in the dorms. In this university, most of the dorms will have a small cafeteria in the basement. So especially meals like breakfast would be able to just walk downstairs and get a meal there. Otherwise, depending on the nature of your day, wherever we are, we'll be able to have group meals together, either in Wrocław or wherever it is we are, and likewise with dinner. The cost of living in Wrocław is quite low. The Polish currency is the zloty, and the zloty, you can buy a lot for a zloty for food and drink. So that is, of course, a large part of that experience is starting to explore that part of the culture is really interesting, usually for everyone involved. So that's kind of the basics about how food and shelter work on this program. So let's see, I think my most favorite phrase to say in Polish is dziękuję. Dziękuję means thank you. So you end up saying that quite a lot. And so you can just say dziękuję. In my mind, I think of it sounding like cheers to ya. And so I think of it as dziękuję. It helps me remember it. That's my favorite phrase. Again, it is nice because of course we want students to learn some basic phrases and be able to try their best, as in any foreign country, to try your best to speak the language and communicate. We always find, of course, that folks appreciate that in the country that you are trying to go to. However, English is fairly widely spoken in Wrocław, and of course in the university it's even more widely spoken. So our hosts are really helpful in providing those times if we're out for some translation and other things. So any worries about language are really, don't have to worry about language when you're in Wrocław or in Poland. My favorite story working there is, I think it's a good example of just cultural communication of how you assume certain things. I mentioned before that our hosts are wonderful and they want to make our time there very active and fun. So they want to show us around and show us things. So part of our schedule, we looked at a schedule one day, and at the end of the day, one of the last activities was to do what was called a Scottish spritzer. And so I said, gosh, that sounds fun. And I thought maybe it was something to do with happy hour and some sort of cocktail, perhaps, that they were going to serve us. And it ends up we went into a large lab where they were doing they had a study of more hospitality and massage therapy and other sort of leisure things. So they had massage therapy and they had a sauna and they had some different whirlpools and other things. And they finally said, okay, everyone, now it's time for your Scottish spritzer. And I figured it was time for a cocktail. And instead they said, well, to do so, you need to make sure that you get into your bathing suit and we're going to lead you down this hallway. And so I was volunteered to be the first person to get the Scottish spritzer. And it ends up what a Scottish spritzer actually is a massage technique when you are put into a room and you are put against the back of a wall, and essentially the person giving you the treatment fires a large garden hose at you and allows this water, kind of a water therapy that beats all over your body, and it's supposed to make you feel good. And so it was quite a laughable moment when everyone watched me getting my Scottish spritzer and I was kind of dancing around getting hosed off instead of having a cocktail. So that was my most memorable cultural moment from our time in Poland. My advice to any student who is interested in studying abroad would be first to acknowledge that it can be scary, that you're not sure if you want to go abroad, and there's all sorts of issues around, will I graduate on time, and how much does it cost, and will it be weird, and does it count on my program? And of course, we're here for you to help sort out all those details. But my main piece of advice is that you will not regret it. I have never had one person that I know of in our program, or any program for that matter on our campus, who has gone on a study abroad experience and come back and said, that was not worth it. They've always said, that was amazing. I'm so glad I took the time and the energy and the risk of doing that, and I loved it, and it made me a better person and a better student and a better citizen. So I would encourage you to take the risk. You would not regret that experience.